I'm basically a game developer and I'm doing that for since '89. So like 24, 25 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, most people don't. I don't lead with that, but it is a fun thing to mention, especially in an interview or whatever.
All right, guys, ladies and gents, welcome, welcome. And tonight we have no other than our famous Spacep0d.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
So my first question to you, and I asked that question to everyone sooner or later, but I think it deserves the first place. So what made you come up with such a cool name for your channel, Spacep0d?
That's a good question. As you know, I just did that blog on branding, I'm a firm believer, and also as a former, well, a musician, I definitely believe in thinking this through before you get started. Try to get that .com, and that will limit a lot of your ideas. If you can get the .com with your preferred name, then grab it. Make your name on YouTube, and this way you'll get a nice URL. It'll match your channel name, and because a lot of people just type in the URL. And basically, Spacep0d comes from I have an interest in space and science and tech, and I had a smart car, and it was a shuttle theme. Basically, I was making stickers for it, and I had it done up in a space shuttle theme. So it's like the coolest looking little smart car, and I called that the Spacep0d. So when I made my YouTube channel and I had my spacesuit already done up, which I conceived in 2005, Spacep0d was a normal go-to name, and I already had that name on a lot of forums, so just rolled with it.
I was wondering, I've first, I guess, heard of you, right? Not through Brands Hangouts, not through anything else, but I've heard of you and started watching your videos when Mark Nowhereman, I guess, when he became quite a big thing on YouTube. A lot of his stuff, like, it was controversial, but let's not talk about him, but let's talk about you. Like, you kind of came up in a picture, like in his reviews or whatever, and you were well-spoken and you had like this character. So what can you tell me about that time, I guess?
One of my big things is with anything, I like to meet up with locals, especially blogging. It's something I want to do is to meet up with different bloggers, big or small, doesn't matter. So Mark was just one of the many bloggers that I think he contacted me first, or no, I wrote to him and then he wrote back and then we decided to meet up. And had a really good meetup, and I know a lot of people have their opinions about Mark, me as well. And he was really funny in person, generous, nice, whatever, all that good stuff. He's sort of, he's got a lot of eyes on videos, so I came up and we did bike reviews and bike swaps and all the things you would do when you have a couple bloggers with different bikes. And we rented a bike together, that was fun. So yeah, he kind of got me going in that sense, and we had an offline argument, which is why we no longer talk, but in person he was always pretty cool, And Michael Faithful Trigger, he's another vlogger, got along great with him. Just still no issue with anyone else, really. Just Mark and I had a little disagreement about exhaust, and that led to silly stuff being said, and yeah, too bad, because I wanted to compare our Ninja 300s, the very subject of our argument, which is, do exhausts actually do anything to small bikes, or any bike? And obviously they do, because full exhaust, you can actually measure the before and after with a dynamometer. So I went from below 35 HP to 40 horsepower, 40.2, gotta have the 0.2. And there's a demonstrable difference, both scientifically measurable, but also on the butt dyno. And so he sort of didn't really agree with that, and he thought it was a waste of money, and that's kind of what started it all. But he actually was cool enough to let me try all of his bikes. So as you saw, or as people have seen in the videos, I tried his CBR 250R and his 300, which I was insanely curious about because I had a 99 250 when I first had a motorcycle. And I was waiting for Cowie to update that thing and increase the CC and come up with fuel injection finally, and whatever else they've added, like a slipper clutch. So I got to try that, and I didn't ride it all that well because the clutch was way too far out for me and all that. And then I rode a 749, and we rode the 848 that we rented together. But yeah, it was fun, and I guess he helped me get some eyes on the channel.
All right, so I guess also, like, to follow up to that question would be, when I started watching, you were on 750, you were on Gixxer 750, and it came as a surprise, I think, definitely to me, but I probably could speak for a lot of people. It came as a surprise to a lot of your subscribers that you've decided to switch to a 300. And what are your reasons to do that, I guess?
So in 2012, I was working a lot of freelance, had a great year, but didn't pay taxes early or quarterly like you should. And lesson learned. I had a giant tax bill. I'm like, holy crap. So I'll try to keep it PG-13 here. And so I'm like, well, I could just sell the Gixxer and get something else. And of course, that something else was a bike I was insanely curious about, which is the 300. So it's kind of weird. Like, I just wanted to have that 300 at all costs. So anyway, so I sold the 750 and I financed the 300, and I got to keep the liquid cash, and the owner was happy, and he was local, so I figured I could still see my 750. Turns out the guy got that bike stolen when he left it out for one night in front of his house. So what a terrible story, because we actually did a little meetup after I got my 300, which Mark helped me with. And yeah, sad story. The guy got his bike stolen the one time he leaves it out. So that was horrible. So I was curious about the 300, and what I really wanted to do is take a small bike, fixed it up as best as I could, to the best of my ability and based on the aftermarket, and just really make it a little lightweight, small little screamer that's easy to foot.
Right.
And I've ridden tall bikes. I can ride a tall bike all day long. It's no problem. But I just really wanted to see what I could do with it, mainly to see if I could ride that 300 as fast as I rode my 750 or my R1 or any other bike I've had. And if I could, basically it would be the cheapest, most inexpensive bike I could have that still does what I want. And it's sort of a big experiment in a sense. And so I contacted Flash Tune because I knew about them from the Gixxer forum, and which I'm no longer on because it's a terrible forum, but I hate those guys. The admin there is such a jackass, but I don't mind saying that publicly, unless you want to cut it, it's up to you. But anyway, so as an aside, I should say the forum makes a difference in what bike I have, because some forums are just so lame and so hostile that I don't even want anything to do with the bike, as weird as that sounds. But so I got a 300, started fixing it up. I called Flash Tune. I'm like, hey, you guys, do you have a flash for this bike with a full exhaust? They're like, no, why don't you be the first? Give us the bike for a week. You can have everything free. I'm like, done. So brought the bike down, and they did the ECU flash after a week, and they did the dyno testing, and they threw in a quick shifter, which is tied into their ECU. And that thing was the first time I ever had a quick shifter. It was amazing. Highly recommended for a small bike. Yeah, man, I cannot wait to try the 500. If we lived near each other, of course, I'd let you try my 300. One of the great things about meeting other people is I can be an ambassador for small bikes or my 300, because I've modified it so heavily, just really making it a little sport bike, which is why I came up with the term ZX3R. And I make ZX3R stickers, not here to promote stickers per se, but because I do stickers anyway, I started making my own ZX3R stickers. And because at first I just did a ZX3R in my own font, and a fan's like, can you make it look just like the real thing? I'm like, great idea. Now I only sell the ones that look just like the CX6R, and I got to show Kawasaki. I think they got a kick out of it. Bikes, as we know, are so much more than that. I mean, the twisties, I rode with a guy named Superbike Sean, and he has a Gixxer 1000 completely modded like crazy. And that guy is a great rider, very fast. So anyway, we swapped bikes, and maybe you saw the vid, but he's on the 300 smoking my butt. Like, we're like on two different rides, and I'm trying to keep up on his Gixxer, and I can't do it. I don't have the skill that he has.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot for joining me, and I hope we're gonna do one more next time, okay?
All right, you got it. Awesome, Possum. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks a lot, man. Take care.
See ya.
Got them hoes in the kitchen.